Examining global power plays, Trump's Venezuela and Nigeria motives revealed.
I wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about what's been happening with what President Trump did with attacking Venezuela and arresting the president of Venezuela and his wife and taking them to New York, holding them captive. We've heard over and over again about Venezuela and in terms of undocumented immigrants coming to this country, which is why they had to address it. Then we don't really have as much an issue with undocumented folk from Venezuela. Second thing we heard was, oh, it's a narco-terrorist state. And then they killed 117 people on boats that were supposedly bringing drugs, cocaine and other drugs, heroin to the United States. The boats that have been destroyed have washed up. They've done experimentation and discovered that mostly it was marijuana that was being carried, and it was actually headed to Europe, not to the United States. So then they said it was about drugs, but it wasn't really a drug issue. But then we finally find out it's about oil. It is about the fact that Venezuela has a large amount of oil and that they do not do business with the United States. The only company that did business with them was Chevron. And now the Trump administration is trying to get control of oil. They're actually doing a blockade of Venezuela right now to prevent all oil tankers. And they're basically going to try to bring the country to an economic halt so they can get control of the oil reserves. Not democracy, not freedom of the people. It's about oil, y'all. I want to point this out because it's also tied to oil in Nigeria. Many of you heard not too long ago, there was an attack in Nigeria, a bombing that occurred in Nigeria because they said Christians were being killed by the Muslim population over there. There has been battling between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria for a long time. Nobody's ever done anything. I mean, the leadership has done something with it, but the United States decided to deal with it. Why Nigeria? Oh, Nigeria has the largest reserve deposits of oil in all of the African nations. As a matter of fact, the few black billionaires that exist in this country outside of the U.S. and the world outside of the U.S. are actually Nigerians. What we're dealing with here is it's American imperialism trying to exert military power to get control of oil reserves for American companies to be able to get really dirt cheap contracts to be able to extract oil from these countries. We need to be very clear that what's happening here is about an issue of white supremacy and about the fact that Donald Trump and his cronies, his billionaire cronies, are trying to get a hold of reserves that belong to black and brown people so that they can make money off it and impoverish those nations. So I just want to be very clear about that. This is a tyrannical act. And some people will say, well, it's about Maduro and other things. Let me just be clear about something. Donald Trump wants to be the only autocrat and dictator that is in the Americas. And so Maduro, who actually was a model for him, he decided to remove him. This is not about Maduro. This is about access to oil reserves, and everything else is an excuse so that they can get access to those reserves. Watch what happens in Nigeria in the days to come. This is an issue for black and brown folk here in the United States, because if you take a look at the playbook, they're now using the playbook that they used here about sending the National Guard in and Homeland Security in the black and brown cities across this country. All black and brown cities. The first cities were all led by black women, and they went in to take out, detain, deport brown folk, right? Get them out of the country. And now we're watching the same thing. Venezuela, Nigeria, who's next? So I know this video has been a little bit long, so just hang in there with me, but I just want to be very clear about what's happening here and about how the Trump administration is using this moment to claim all these other things, drugs, undocumented immigrants. Do not get caught up in the hype. It is about white men wanting to make more money. So just wanted to share that with you. I'll be back with the regular videos in the next few days.